She's just a girl, the girl you want. She's just a girl, she's just a girl, the girl you
Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I do love me some Laurie Petty.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Tank Girl, which released in 1995. Based on the Tank Girl comic by Alan Martin and Jamie Hewlett, with a screenplay by Teddy Sarafian, and directed by Rachel Talalay. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, in the year 2033, a comet has smashed into the Earth and pretty much devastated the entire surface. We follow Rebecca, played by Laurie Petty, aka Tank Girl. She's living out in the desert with some other survivors under the oppressive company Water and Power, led by Malcolm McDowell. After Malcolm McDowell captures her friends, he tortures Tank Girl to the point where she actually escapes, steals a tank, joins a bunch of mutant kangaroo rippers, and decides to take the war back to Malcolm McDowell.
So this was from the lady that directed Freddy's Dead, the final Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
That was a lie. It wasn't the final.
No. And the guy that would go on to write Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines.
Oh, but that's not bad, really.
Well, in comparison to what came after, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this was a film that was made in 94, released in 95, and flopped. It was a huge commercial and financial failure in every regard.
Yeah.
But somehow it became a cult classic, and over the years, people have started to remember this film a bit more fondly than when it first released. And I have to say, this is the first time revisiting this film since the late 90s.
I don't know. People have that way, don't they?
Is it 90s nostalgia time now?
No. For some reason, really shitty movies get like a lot of praise, and then you have to sit there and go, "Oh, you think it's good?" And they go, "Yeah, it's great," and you go, okay.
That is what we call cult classics.
Yeah, but that's why we have cults and people who aren't too happy about cults. But yeah, I was kind of the same. I remember think I saw the trailer for Tank Girl and I was excited by it, and then it disappeared and nobody wanted to talk about it unless it was in negative terms. Don't watch this film. It's shit. Don't ever watch it. And so I never did. I don't think I actually watched Tank Girl until like early 2000s.
Right.
When I actually did find a copy of it and thought, oh my God, I get a chance to watch it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just watched that.
It seemed like it was on almost every other week on some cable channel late at night, like
I didn't have cable though, you know.
Yeah. But this is a film that has been mired in studio interference from the get-go. The original writers and illustrators for the comic book were involved in the movie. They helped develop the story and the script, but then they were obviously removed from the project, and then they were brought back on to animate scenes that the studio never shot.
Gosh, yeah.
And because the studio meddled and literally took the film away from the director in post-production, after positive test screenings, the studio went, we need to fix this and make it better.
Oh, great.
Because they thought they might have a mega hit on their hands.
Yeah.
So they ended up removing, according to the director, nearly an hour's worth of footage. They brought back the cast and made them ad-lib and dub lines that then got put back into the movie because the studio wanted a more PG rating.
Yeah, no.
The original team wanted an R rating.
Yeah,
the director wanted somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so being pulled in three different directions, with the studio eventually giving it to their marketing department to have final say near enough on the final edit and everything else. It's kind of no wonder that the film feels like a mess, like it's fallen apart or it's been badly put together.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what has finally come out is what has become a cult classic. So maybe all of the meddling and all the interference, it ruined it for the time, but now it's something considered slightly special. But at the same time, I've not read the Tank Girl graphic novels or comics, but what I can say is that the artwork is incredibly striking.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of pop art, punk aesthetics, and in this kind of, it looks like an apocalyptic world, but I don't think in the original Australian setting of the books, which is we're in America for the film.
Yeah.
I don't think it was supposed to be in a post-apocalyptic setting, but they're kind of riding high, I guess, on the Mad Max idea for this film.
Yeah.
And so, but if you are a purist and you love the graphic novels, apparently this film gets nothing right.
It does, yeah.
And on top of that, like, the director wanted this film to be like the comic books and not have an origin story. It's just because the books don't really have much plot or narrative.
Yeah.
That's not its strength. It's
Yeah.
its character-based situations that they
Yeah.
get into, which doesn't necessarily translate well to a film which conventionally has a beginning, middle, and end. And because of the punk, anti-conformist nature of Tank Girl, that also applies to the film as well, where it doesn't conform. But the studio was like, but it must. We got to find out why she has this tank. Where did the tank come from? We need an origin story. And so the first 40 minutes of this hour 40-minute movie is an origin story.
Yeah. I also, like you said, the comics came out in like 1988, I think it was, and they would go on to like 92, 93, and then you would get the film as well. And, I was around at that time. I was reading comic books. Nobody gave me a copy of Tank Girl.
It's surprising because it's also a British comic.
Exactly. Exactly. I was reading 2000 AD. I was reading Judge Dredd.
That's funny because this was the same year that Judge Dredd came out as well.
Yeah.
Bad year for comic book adaptations.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, it wasn't like anybody came to me and went, here's all the issues of Tank Girl you need to read before the film comes out. It was like Tank Girl was so under the radar, even me who was so poor didn't know what it was. It must have been just above me. I couldn't get to it or whatnot.
So yeah, didn't even know it was an adaptation. It's not like Superman or Batman that came before.
Exactly. And I was saying this to Gary before we turned the camera on. It feels like this film had the perfect opportunity to be maybe like the MTV movie of 95. You could have just gone out, balls to the wall. But I also understand that studios, they're protective of their money. They're unwilling on going on any random ideas because if it flops, it's on their head.
The studio knew what they were buying.
Yeah,
let's buy this and make it. And then they made it. And then they were like, I'm embarrassed that we made that.
Exactly.
Let's change it.
But that's the thing. I also think as well, when you get a female lead, like Laurie Petty, who has to just go balls to the wall and go wild. You've got all this freedom. They're afraid of that. They're afraid of actually just allowing a female character just to go absolute batshit crazy and not have any limitations. Instead, we need to control the character. We need to make her a hero, not an anti-hero. We need to make the origin story for the tank. I mean, like I said, the whole beginning sets it up where, Laurie Petty is giving us this narration over the imagery of the world being blown up. It's 2033. A comet crashed into the Earth. There's been no water in 11 years. How? It's like, you look pretty good for a girl who's been surviving in a post-apocalyptic wasteland for 11 years.
She says that, but then she finds a corpse. She's like, bottle of water.
Yeah! These people must have been killed by Rippers, the evil army led by Johnny Prophet.
Oh no, they're created by Professor Prophet.
Professor Prophet, who was working for Water and Power, which is being led by Malcolm McDowell's character.
And he owns 95% of the water in America.
Yeah, well, I mean, do they even actually say it's America?
Not really,
no, they
no.
don't. I kept hating the fact that every time they brought up the word Ripper, you had like a didgeridoo noise go off.
Yeah, remember we're in Australia.
We're in Australia. I'm like,
where's the Australian accents then?
yeah, what? And on top of that, it's like, she's looking for a birthday present for her boyfriend. So this rebel, this strong-willed woman is obviously running around the desert collecting things for a guy at the house who is a fucking just
and she's
a
also
bum.
Pretty much babysitting all these children
Exactly.
as well.
I'm like who put that idea? Well, we're going to need that later on
for the shock and the drama of
Yeah, because while they're living at this house in the middle, like this, the house in the middle of nowhere, like, did they build that? Was it there? I know I'm asking a lot of questions, and I know I shouldn't, but it just happens. I mean, you cut into Kesley as well in his corporation, and he's talking to his commanders about owning the desert, and the commander's just like, well, I'm going to get you this bit of desert soon, sir. And he smashes it with his hand. What? We're going to lose this, and we're going to lose this, and we're going to lose this. And I'm like, he's the bad guy?
Yeah.
Why don't we just shoot him?
And the Tennelson Ridge. And so on!
Because they're all afraid of him.
Why? All he does is stab people in the back with that plastic cup and syringes attached to it. When you see that in his hand, you know somebody's going to die.
But it's Marty McDowell, so you know he's the bad guy. Right? Mostly. Here's the thing, though, is he then tells his general to take off his shoes and walk across the glass towards him. And he's like, are you stupid? I can't believe you just walked across the glass. Now come here. Come here. You see this blade? Yeah, I'm going to kill you with it now. Well, actually, no, I'm going to stab you in the back with this other thing and suck out all of your blood and turn it into water and drink it in front of everyone.
And be like, ooh.
Just to show how villainous I am. But just to show how villainous and how unafraid of pain he is, he also walks across the glass without his shoes on.
Oh, did he take his shoes off?
Well, no, but he had his shoes on, but then he had his shoes off.
Oh.
Shoes on, shoes off. I don't know.
I did like that bit where he makes the commander walk on the glass and he goes, I can't trust you now because if you're willing on doing that, it just shows how weak you are.
But surely you want everyone to do what you say to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but grand villainy. So and also setting the tone of comic book villain. So, yeah.
But when we come back to the house as well, and you've got the boyfriend sneaking down to steal some water, and then Rebecca, Tank Girl. I love the fact that the film's called Tank Girl, but then for half the movie everyone's calling her Rebecca.
She doesn't even have a tank yet. That's what I mean. Yeah.
That's it. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the name that she was given in the comic book, so we call her Rebecca. And she starts making her boyfriend strip, doesn't she?
Well, we're not aware of their relationship until the kids interfere, and
that was cringy as fuck.
It was, wasn't it?
It was massively cringy as fuck.
Then Tank Girl, she's now on guard duty out at the front of the house.
Oh, yeah.
She's only looking out of this one angle of the house. And so we're already seeing somebody spying her from behind with thermal goggles or something. Yeah. But anyway, the little girl turns up and she's like, oh, go get you some food here. Take this death ball from Phantasm and off you go.
Yeah. And she's also, she's left... Rebecca's left new boots for her boyfriend. So when we see this pair of army boots behind her, we're led to believe that that's her boyfriend and that she's now flirtingly going to use her scissors to cut bits of her clothing because, she wants to have sexy, wants to be sexy for her boyfriend. And then she turns around and, shock horror, it's not her boyfriend. It's one of the water and power guards who have come out of nowhere in the middle of the night with their guns.
So she seduces him a little bit more. She reveals her cleavage and then, slips the pins out of the grenades and oh shit moment.
Yeah.
Drop something?
Ah, shit.
And she tries to go back to the house. Now this is the point where you realise that Laurie Petty, Tank Girl, has all the plot armor in this movie because she can hit everybody. Nobody can hit her.
Yeah.
And she watches her boyfriend get shot up.
Yeah.
She watches the little girl, I think it's Sam.
Yeah, at the window.
Get taken as well.
I would say Laurie Petty's reaction here, it's like some real genuine emotion here.
Well,
like,
she's a good actress.
She is, yeah. No, I know she is. It's the fact that she remains one note throughout nearly the entire film, that it was like, so this is our origin story, her boyfriend in her home and all her friends are dead. So, yeah, revenge story.
Yeah, but I do like how, she... Laurie Petty, I think, is a great actress. I loved her in A League of Her Own, Point Break with Keanu Reeves. She did Bates Motel with Bud Cort. That's a really shit film. I like that. It's got Laurie Petty and Bud Cort. Orange is the New Black. The girl can act. I always stand by and defend her everything that she's in. So in this, when she's doing her crazy Tank Girl stuff, like the different coloured eyes stuff, I think that's the filmmakers going, bring her to life. But then when she's having to actually read lines and scripts and stuff, like I said, that whole guard duty sequence, somebody went, we need you on guard duty, and she's just like, really? Is this it? And they're like, oh, yeah. So she does what she can. And so then she's captured by those soldiers, isn't she?
Yeah,
And they're planning on like raping her and doing some nasty stuff to her. And so she kills the guy in the jet. I was like, fuck yeah!
And I'm also like, why have none of these guards killed her? They killed everybody else except her. And it's like, do they know she's important? Or is the plot armor just reached the point where they can't even think about killing her?
I think the plot armor is that point, because it gets even worse. She gets brought in front of Kesley. And Kesley's just like, ooh, I like you, work for me. And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, I'm going to torture you.
I'm going to introduce you to my pipe.
Yeah.
I call it the pipe. In you go.
I'm going to torture you for days. I'm going to make you go without food. Now work for me. And she's like, no.
He's like, oh, I like this one. I'm going to look forward to breaking you.
I'm like, Kesley, you are not even close, because she has to get a tank first.
Right. He ends up sticking her in like the fridge, like a freezer kind of locker area. And I was like, what's wrong with her teeth? Like, how long has she been in there for? Like, what's going on? And the studio were like, oh, the sequence has got to remove her from the film. Like, you can't have Laura Petty looking ugly in this movie. So that scene was massively trimmed down. It was one of the director's favourite scenes in the film, but it was all cut out for this brief interaction again.
It's like somebody somewhere went, oh, we need to keep just sexualizing her. It's just like...
Oh, it's a very horny movie.
Yeah, but you didn't need to. Tank Girl could just do that on her own, especially when you see some of the comic imagery and stuff that she's got, where she's got that crazy smile, the cigarette in her mouth. She's half wearing, like, ravaged clothes and stuff. She just has the look. No studio person had to put their sense in.
I win.
So we've also got Sergeant Small, played by Don Harvey. I like Don Harvey. He was in Casualties of War.
Yeah. Supreme douchebag.
He
That's the role he plays in every film I've seen him in.
He is. He's that guy. When you see that guy, you're like, oh, he's the douchebag. You know?
It's like he's got a smirk or a grin that you're just like, ooh, you want to slap him.
You fucking want to hurt him. And he is being put in charge by Kesley to take over the commander's role, who had to walk on the glass, you know, and he's going out and he's capturing all these people. But he's also got a mad fascination with Naomi Watts. A very young Naomi Watts in this.
Indeed, yeah. This is one of her early films. Well, this was actually one of the biggest projects she had worked on at the time.
Yeah.
And apparently she had to audition like 9 times for the part.
Because the studio was so fucking shit.
Right. And according to Laurie Petty and the director, that she was the shyest person on the set, and that even during takes she would start to cower and try to hide and be off camera, almost like she was embarrassed to be there. And it's kind of sad that all these years later Naomi Watts has come out and said that she's embarrassed that she was in that film, but man, they got her out of her acting shell and prepared her to go on to greatness. And the black hair in this, I think it actually suits her as well.
Yeah, I like it, yeah.
She is what, Jet Girl.
Yeah.
And she is like the mechanic, the repairman for the jets, but she's shy and timid and afraid and just wants to hide in the shadows.
Well, it's because, like, she's a slave, just like all of the other workers there are slaves. You know, they're digging. They're digging to put in more pipe work for water,
Probably, or digging for water, yeah.
For to find the water pipes. But she's obviously got the skills to fix these machines. And here comes Don Harvey, Sergeant Small. He's trying it on with her. He's wanting to have sex for her. And then when she pushes him away, he bullies her and violently tries to obviously hurt her. And I love the sequence. There was a awesome sequence, I totally forgot about, where Laurie Petty goes for the shower and it's just the decontamination dust.
Right, yeah.
But she makes it look sexy.
But I was like, it was cool for a moment, but it was, again, it went on a bit too long. It was the sequence where she's cutting her clothing seductively.
Yeah.
Now she's having a dust shower.
Yeah.
I was like, again, extended sequence, and there was lots of these extended like solo sexualized tank girl sequences. It was like, just get on with it.
But it leads up to this cool bit where she does push herself between Sergeant Small and Jet Girl, because Jet Girl's, you know, being grabbed by him. And
Now
she's
this
just like,
bit was rushed. Like, why didn't we linger on this moment?
yeah, it's like, this is my girlfriend. Nobody touches her except me. And so Sergeant Mole's like, oh, that's true. And he buggers off. And this kind of starts the friendship between Tank Girl and Jet Girl. I thought it was absolutely fucking stupid, this part, where the guard gets all of the prisoners out of their little digging place. And as they close the door, he forgets to count. And Tank Girl climbs out of an air vent.
Yeah.
And now she's just wandering around on her own.
Yeah. She just wanders into the armory. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all these wonderful vehicles. Oh, that's a nice tank.
Yeah.
The film interrupts us several times throughout the film with the sort of animated moments, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're really stylized. I mean, they're literally like straight out of the comic book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like this whole film should have just been animated.
Should have just been like
with
that.
this art style, which is so striking and vivid and colourful. Now, the film is shot very nice. The cinematography is good, but it's all very muted colours.
Yeah.
Compared to like the comic book bits that it keeps cutting to.
Those bits are great.
They are, and so her sequence of falling in love with the tank and literally like Shaft music playing as she's
Yeah.
straddling the tank barrel. Like,
Yeah. But she almost gets killed by it because she doesn't know the right password. And luckily, here comes Jet Girl Naomi Watts, who helps her unlock it. And the whole time, Kessler's letting her do this.
he's watching like the camera inside the tank.
Yeah. And Sergeant Smole's like, she's going to steal the tank. And he's like, oh, let's see where this goes. And they don't even... Tank Girl doesn't even get in trouble for this. She just happens to go back to her cell. And Naomi Watts is even more upset because she's lost all her rights to the hangar. And so Tank Girl comes along to help her. And this is where Kesley's like, he's had enough. He's just like, right, I'm going to shove you down this pipe and, I'm going to torture you even more. And then he pulls her out and comes up with the idea, right, okay, one of our water outposts has been
attacked. Yeah.
Has been attacked. And we know that the Rippers come out from kind of suck pits in the sand. They'll climb out, attack, and then they'll go back into the sand so we can never find them. And Tank Girl is kind of tasked with going into the pit. And so they send her down there. But just as they're about to send her down there, the Rippers attack and kill everybody.
Yay!
Except Kesley.
Well, I mean...
They rip his arm off.
Yeah.
And he gets away.
Well, we don't see him get away. We just see, like, because Tank Girl had been hit with a tracking device.
That's right, yeah.
And so she sees the severed arm and she stomps on it, like, where's the rest of you, Kessler?
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't actually find out until a bit later on when Lopan has got him on this table in his golden, like, pajamas and a face mask.
The actor who played Lopan's there because he's in charge of all the cybernetics.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, I've got this great idea of we'll replace your arm with a cybernetic arm. And
But your face as well has been mangled, so we're going to have to decapitate you.
Yeah.
What? Can't we just get a face mask, something?
I don't even know how that works. I don't even know how to explain how that works later on.
No,
when they
I mean,
cut
because
his
the
head
film
off.
keeps cutting to him later on, but his face is always off screen or
Yeah,
obstructed by
obstructed.
something. So we're like, what's going on with his head? But I was also looking like, because the film has loads of weird, bizarre, and interesting aesthetic choices in the
Yeah.
set design and costumes. But I was like, like the meter that was like registering his heartbeat.
Yeah.
These are like tidal waves, like on the machine. I was like, and then when he dies, the waves just stop.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's kind of unique kind of image to have on that, but it's like that for everything, just from the sets, the costumes, like the little troll heads and stuff, like the badges and pins and everything. It's very interesting to look at.
But Tank Girl, she goes into this suck pit, and I think Jet Girl goes down with her as well, doesn't she?
That's right, yeah.
And the two of them are now in the Ripper kind of secret hideout HQ. And this is where we come across the Rippers, the mutant kangaroos. Now
they were set up as like some kind of monster in the security footage we'd seen before.
Yeah.
It was like some monster had come up, terrorized these people, and vanished without a trace.
like helmets they've got on.
Yeah. But now that we actually see the Rippers and we find out that they're just a bunch of horny kangaroo dudes.
Who the fuck managed to convince Ice-T out of anybody in the world to don that mask.
I think it was probably the $1 million he was offered.
Oh
or
man,
just shy of.
he would have asked for more. But like, I love the effect. We love the effect. You know, Stan Winston really went out of his way to make sure that the mask looks nice and the eyes look
director
through.
had a meeting with him, but she was like, I don't know why we're even having this meeting. I can't afford you, Stan Winston. And Stan Winston was like, let me see what you're working on.
Yeah.
You want this, this, and this? He was like, this is brilliant. Like, my team needs a project like this.
Yeah.
What's the... forget it. We'll do it at half the price. Whatever it takes. We're in. Sign us.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, what a legend. What an absolute legend.
man.
Stan Winston.
I would have loved Stan Winston to have done Mortal Kombat instead.
Well, yeah. But, you know.
Like, I don't know that I've got a problem with Mortal Kombat's effects, but look at what Stan Winston did with this.
Yeah.
And then how he done with Mortal Kombat. But anyway, so like we said, Jet Girl and Tank Girl are captured by the Rippers. The Rippers are convinced that they're working for Water and Power, and they also want to hijack another supply run of Kesley's Water and Powers. They believe that they're carrying guns and stuff, and so the plan is to send Jet Girl and Tank Girl there with no weapons, with nothing.
Just a camera.
Just a camera, and take pictures for them, and then the Rippers are
So
going
they
to
start pretending they're shooting a calendar.
Yeah. I gotta admit, like, you could see that the relationship between Tank Girl and Booja, played by Jeff Kober, was gonna be like your main one. Like, Jeff Kober, like, he's one of those guys. He's that guy. Like, you've seen
Background
his
villain
face,
guy.
background villain guy. Been in plenty of TV shows like Buffy, The Walking Dead, Sons of Anarchy, a few movies as well that I've seen him in. And so I instantly recognized him in the mask. I could hear from his tone of voice. And his character, I want to say he's young. I don't want to say like he's mentally got any problems. I just feel like he's young. And so that kind of innocence comes through to Tank Girl, who kind of falls for him because she's trying to look for a love interest because obviously she's lost her boyfriend.
Yeah, and in the comics, she has a boyfriend that is a kangaroo called Booga.
Ah, right.
Now,
So
they look more like kangaroos in the comic, but for the film, they were like, we need to humanize them more. And then the studio was like, well, we need backstory, so let's make it so that they were human. And then they got reincarnated into kangaroo hybrid things because the military wanted secret super weapons.
what?
But well, that one will take dog DNA, though.
What do you mean you were reincarnated? Like, Ice-T's like, I used to be a cop. So what, you were a cop and then you died and reincarnated in this body and you're still a cop?
Who'd you used to be?
A cop.
Figures.
Like fucking Jeff Kober's one. He's like, I used to be a dog.
Yeah.
You were a dog and you were reborn in this body as a human dog now? Like the guy who plays DT.
Yeah.
He was a saxophone player. And he can still play a saxophone like really well.
It's the fact that they've also got shoes that are custom made,
Oh, God,
clothing with tail holes. It's
Like one of them, I totally forgot to look up his name, but there was one Ripper who is practically more hornier than all of it. He honestly is just like, yeah,
he's
guys,
just trying to hump.
just take their clothes off. At one point, he's humping Naomi Watts while they're dancing. I'm like, no wonder she was embarrassed on fucking set.
Yeah. And I also have to say, one of my favorite actors, Doug Jones, is actually one of the Rippers in this as well, but I don't know which one he is.
I think it's one of the quieter ones in the band.
Yeah, he's
There's a-
definitely non-speaking part, but that's a shame.
But at the same time, like I said, once they've gotten to the supply run, they're taking pictures of the guns, they're sending the information back to the Rippers, and the Rippers, they want to help, but Ice-T's character, he still doesn't believe them. He's just like, let them steal it themselves, and then maybe we'll help them. And they even say like, we'll give you these earpieces. We can hear everything you say.
Yeah.
We can hear everything you say through the recording. And if you want us to hear what you say, you have to speak to the West.
Yeah, because our ears can pick it up.
But why only one direction?
I don't know, because the way the wind blows. It's the slipstream, I don't know.
So that's what she has to do. And Booger's just like, right, we're going to go help. And Ice-T's like, no, we won't. And they all vote because the Rippers love a democracy. And they vote that they should go and help. And so they do help. And so Jet Girl and Tank Girl, after helping the Rippers, they've got their tank. that they found. They've also
They've
got this
souped it
jet
up now as well.
They have as well. They met somebody who allowed them to just redecorate it, and that was cool. But
that scene where she comes in and then sneaks around behind her and bonks her on the head and she collapses, I was like, that was horrendous acting.
The fish, yeah.
I was like, what is going on here? But apparently that character had a much bigger part in the original edit of the film,
right,
and is a major character in the comic books as well.
Yeah, I think
but yeah, treated badly here with an atrocious scene and some bad acting.
There was a bit of lineage that lady gave where she you know, had a premonition that it was going to start raining soon.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was obviously the big build up for the end of the movie, that the rains would come back.
It was, but it was also deleted from the movie.
Yeah, and so,
but before we get on, there is a sequence I got to bring it up, because it happens so fast and it's animated at the time it happens.
Yeah.
But Tank Girl puts a human brain inside of her tank and gives it sentience so that she can communicate and talk and whistle to her tank to appear on command.
Yeah.
But it's animated and it happens in like 5 seconds, and then the film carries on again. You're like, that could have been a little bit like, you know, instead of like spending 5 minutes on another song and dance number.
Because it's going to come up a couple of times. You know, she's going to whistle for this tank, and the tank's going to come up and it's going to try and help her. And you're like, what?
Who's driving that? There's a brain in there.
The tank can shoot itself. But she finds out that Sam has been taken to Liquid Silver, which is this prostitution kind of sex place in the middle of the desert.
It's like a giant brothel, isn't it?
Yeah. And everybody
with
dresses
cabaret and
with white hair or silver hair and silver outfits, and people, you know, rich people come in there and they can get like whatever they want and have sex with whatever they want. And what the madam is told by a member of her staff, I suppose, that we've got one who really wants the schoolgirl, and they're like, oh, the schoolgirl, well, go get Sam. Oh, but she's only a girl. Well, she's got to learn at some point. And so you see Iggy Pop in a dressing gown trying to pull little Sam to his room because he wants to have sex with her. Now, if you thought that bit at the beginning was cringy, this part was even more cringy. But Tank Girl and Jet Girl have made their way in there. Jet Girl is hiding in the background, but Tank Girl properly modifies her outfit, gets herself all dressed up.
Yeah, it's an extended sequence where the computer or the program is trying to get her to dress up.
Yeah.
So she looks like all the others, but then the joke is she's like got her own style.
And then she has a can-can dance with a bunch of people.
Yeah, and we get the whole dance number.
Yeah, that was...
I'm like, so this is what I
Awkward.
mean about like her motivation to get revenge for her boyfriend being killed, her revenge for getting, you know, like all of these things, all of her motivation to rescue this girl, to get revenge against the company. She's like, it's almost like she doesn't care about any of that, and that is her character that she almost really doesn't.
Well, that was it. I thought it was fucking bullshit that Sam gets captured at the beginning of the house.
Yeah.
Then she gets captured a second time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like... And it's the fact that when she gets captured a second time, Tank Girl's like, oh, I have to wait another 30 minutes before I can go back and rescue her because I need to make a plan with the Rippers about how we're going to get in there.
It's like there's no hero's like urgency or agency to do anything. It's just like, oh, I'm here now, I'll do this.
But then could we also put that down to the studio interference that it was at one point coherent, and then once they started making cuts, it became uncoherent, and so
yeah, it doesn't flow very well at all. And then we get these huge dance numbers, which just really grinds the film to a halt.
Yeah.
Unless you're enjoying the spectacle of these dance numbers, and it's well choreographed and well lit, and all these lovely dancers, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's not only that though, like the few action scenes we've had have not really been that exciting or entertaining either.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of the jokes and one-liners, like there was a sequence where she's climbing up and the guy keeps kicking the buckets down on her.
Oh, yeah,
And she's like, oh, I'm going to miss Baywatch. And it's like, the references are like so 90s as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that this film is set in, 2033? It's like, what is going on? So it just felt dated. It wasn't that funny. The pacing had stalled essentially, and so I'm just waiting now for a big showdown or something to happen.
That was it. I was exactly the same, because part of me is just like, you could have a massive huge fucking war at the end, which they plan to do, but Tank Girl has all the plot armor. She's got fucking tank armor. You know, so like I don't feel any threat towards her. I don't even feel like Kesley at this point after his modifications is even a threat, because we see him trying to torture Sam, and the most he's got are those spinning blades on his arm that he has to do that with. I'm like, you would have scared him more if you put a gun in her face. Why would you have to do this with your arm constantly?
Your friends will be along shortly to save you, my little princess.
So the Rippers, Jet Girl, and Tank Girl have all got together, and they're like, "Hey, yes, let's rush Water and Power, and we'll bring them all down." And it was also after this when they'd stolen the truck full of guns, when they realised that actually there were no guns on board. It actually had Dr. Prophet's body on board, so all the Rippers were really upset and howled.
Yeah.
That was kind of
It was their
weird.
creator, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like supposed to show them emotional upset, and also why they're so angry to go back against Water and Power. And their plan is that the Rippers will sneak through the bottom. Oh no, the Rippers are gonna sneak through in Jet Girl's jet, and she's gonna radio through and pretend that actually they were attacked, and that's why they want to land.
Yeah.
But while they're also doing that, Tank Girl is going to cause a distraction by driving her tank up and just blasting and shooting everything. And while that's happening, Kesley's like, "Haha, Sam, I'm so evil. I'm going to put you in the pipe, but to make it even worse, I'm going to fill the pipe up with water
And slowly drown
and
you.
slowly drown you."
Not giving you enough time to eventually get away. Of course not.
Yo, like, why? What's like,
And so yeah, we end up with this like big warehouse shootout. It's all dark. We've got the Rippers running around or flying around or jumping around, tearing people apart. And the thing is, you can see the ropes and strings on wires on all of them.
like
It's fine.
I get it. It's 1995. We barely have any post-production, computerized, digitized,
brushing out the
brushing
wires,
out and
yeah.
stuff like that. But somebody must have fucking seen it in the editing. Somebody must have gone, "Ooh, that's not great. I can see a line there." But no, nobody did, because they just wanted to get this film done and out and hope that they didn't ever have to come back for a sequel. But Tank Girl, she gets her way in there. She helps out the Rippers. We sadly lose DT,
Yeah.
the saxophone playing one, because he decides to sacrifice himself to take out the power box so that the Rippers have darkness that they can go around. And it just should have been a lot more gorier, because the film tries to emphasize that they're ripping people apart and there's blood and guts. But when you see the bodies there, they're just actors lying with bits of blood.
Yeah.
Like, remember the Guyver? Remember how gory Guyver could have been? Like, go Guyver, fuck's sake! Like, fuck the plot, just go Guyver gory. But Rebecca, Tank Girl, meets up with Kesley again.
Starts shooting at him with her tank.
Yeah,
But she's run out of ammo.
yeah.
So she starts firing beer cans at him.
Beer cans at him.
And instead of Kessler moving out of the way, he just stands there with his arm and starts blocking the beer cans. I'm like, dude, that is a tank and it's aiming at you.
Yeah.
Walk away. Like, that thing takes freaking ages to turn and shoot again. Better yet, mate, just duck. That thing can't aim up and down very well. So why are you just standing there looking like a boss trying to deflect all these beer cans? What are you trying to catch one? You're like,
She fires one at the water thing
there's
above
a
his
bucket
head.
above
Yeah.
his head. Like, I mean, the film is like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and if you accept it on that level, anything can go, right? And yeah, Mr. Villain,
Yeah.
who has all the water in the land,
Yeah.
his now one weakness is now water. And this bucket of water splashes on his holographic head.
Yeah.
Because his head was cut off.
His head was cut
His
off.
brain was severed. So I have no idea how his body is animated or walking around with a holographic head.
Yeah.
But I understand holograms.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why is it just a
Like the
head?
hologram is being projected from this thing in his neck.
But how is his body still alive?
I have-
How is the brain function? I mean, it's
You're
low-
asking me?
It was Lopan, okay? So I'm just going to say it was some serious messed up magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. He says in Big Trouble in Little China, like, that really pisses me off.
Right.
I'm melting. I'm melting.
And so he dies. Oh, no, he doesn't. Tango injects him with the same device that takes the blood and
Yeah.
pulls the water out of it. So
He dies.
Yeah, he shrivels up and dies.
Yeah. And it was shit.
Yeah.
And even the next bit where Sergeant Small is confronted by Jet Girl because all of the soldiers and all the people that work for War and Power are now escaping or running away.
Or now working for the Kangaroo Men.
Yeah, or working for the Kangaroo Men. And Sergeant Small is confronted by Jet Girl and she shoots him.
Well, I've got to say, at least that is the one character arc of the entire film.
Yeah,
because she was
completely.
the shy, weedy, frightened, nervous, didn't want to do anything, too scared to do anything, and now look at her physical transformation,
Yeah.
the way she carries herself, her personality, everything has changed, and she's now taking control of herself.
I mean, I thought it was good because it came off of the part where they were in the jet, wasn't it? And she was trying to get the guy to talk through the radio, and he kept messing up. And so she took it, and she fucking gave the guy on the other radio grief, and that's what got.
So she
them
grew
in.
as a character,
and that worked, yeah. And then you get an animated ending, and the movie's over. Thank fucking hell.
And what were your favourite scenes?
There were not many. I really wanted to have fun with this movie, but the movie's really hard to have fun with when it doesn't even feel like they were having fun. Like, I like Laurie Petty. I already said that at the start, and so any of the sequences, that she is in, I can just watch her for hours. She's having fun. I like the sequence where she's messing around with the scissors. Sexy. I like the shower sequence. Sexy. I was very surprised, actually. This was what caught me off guard. Because I really like Bjork, Army of Me, which is the song from the sequence of Sucker Punch. Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch, where they fight the samurais. And I thought it was present day 2000 at that time when the movie came out. And it turns out that the song was originally in this. In 1995. I didn't even realize it came out in 1995. And so actually I really like the sequence where the music plays in this as well, because it kind of fits once again the fantasy realm in which we are in this world.
From what I gather, I think it was Courtney Love who was originally sort of tapped to maybe play Tank Girl.
Oh, right.
But Kurt had
Issues.
a moment.
Yeah.
A permanent moment.
Yeah.
And so she stepped away from the film, but then she actually came back as a music consultant person. And she helped choose the music for the certain sequences in the film.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, the music in the film is very memorable. It's
very
some
good.
Great tracks from the 90s.
Like I said, I just think this movie could have been like the MTV of post-apocalyptic movies if they'd just gone all balls to the wall and just hoped that teenagers of 16, 17, 18 would rush out to watch this movie. Instead, what audience were you fucking selling this to? Like, barely anybody read the comics, so you weren't selling it to them. And barely anybody would have liked any of the actors or actresses in this movie for watching them. So, what were you... Other than that, I really don't have much. Like Gary said, the jokes fall flat. The action sequences are laughable. Like, the animated sequences are cool. And I suppose at the same time, on top of that, when you actually take a time to look at this, the special effects facial masks of the guys, they're not cheap. They really look like somebody's put a lot of effort in. So I got to give kudos to all the actors dressed up as the Rippers, because they try to make their characters, their acting, shine through while wearing this prosthetic mask so that they are remembered for the movie. So,
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours each in the makeup chair with all of the prosthetics and put on, and the animatronics as well to control the ears and the tails. Yeah, so again, Stan Winston, bravo to you and your team. I guess one of the first most memorable moments, I always love this gag, I've seen it many, many times, but when they suddenly realize there's a live grenade at their feet, and it's to look up at the camera like, oh shit, and then explode.
You love a good explosion.
I love a good explosion. So, yeah. I loved Kesley's opening villain sequence with his general making him walk across the glass after he's just smashed all of the panels, and then he walks across the glass as well and drinks his water. Like, I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. And I think my actual favourite sequence in the film is an animated sequence. And
Yeah.
it is when they've got the tank, it's souped up, and it cuts into animated form as the two of them get in there. And, like, Tank Girl and Jet Girl is, like, having a fight, so she's all battered and bruised when
Oh,
she gets
yeah,
in.
yeah,
It's like, why'd
yeah.
you have to rough me up so much? And then she, like, headbutts the red button, like, the
hits the
supercharger,
turbo, yeah.
hits a turbo, and it literally flies off a cliff. I was like, man, like the artwork, the style, the energy, it's frenetic, it is punk, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to live action again. You're like, oh,
Yeah, real
it's
world.
fine, but that was cool. Yeah. Ian, do you recommend Tango?
I would love to recommend this movie, but I don't think I really can. And mainly because if you were just going to watch this for shits and giggles to see what everybody moans about with this movie, you'd hate it. You probably wouldn't even finish it. This is like the second time I've watched it, and I'm fucking 40 plus, and I don't ever intend to really go back and ever watch it again unless I'm wasted and somebody's like, hey, let's drink every time Laurie Petty comes on screen. I'll be like, let's go. The plot is all over the place. The action sequences are incoherent. Some of the lines don't work very well, but at the same time, you know, if you're a fan of cinema and you've never seen it, give it a chance. You might find something in it that you might say, ooh, yeah, I liked it because of that reason. There's not many reasons, but you might find one. Laurie Petty is one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a cult movie that was ahead of its time. And just before the shift, I guess, to like regular comic book adaptations becoming the normal. This trailblazing film was ambitious, bold, had its own style and punk energy, and it was utterly gutted and then patched together by marketing execs that thought they knew better, resulting in a commercial and financial flop. Yet, still loved by so many all these years later, and I'm not really a fan. I've never recommended this film before, and I'm not going to. For me, this is a mess. It's sometimes irritating. It's shallow, it's unfunny with dated references, and it feels one note, with some terrible pacing issues and one-dimensional characters. All that said, I liked Laurie Petty a lot. She was born to play Tank Girl, and her expressions, voice, and style was a great fit. Shame it was all toned down by the studio. Soundtrack was very grunge, it worked well, pretty much dominated the score by Graham Revell, unfortunately. Stan Winston's effects were solid as always, just felt that those talents were kind of wasted here. So it's a no from me, but I'll say this. It's a film you have to watch for yourself because you might just really, really love this one. In the future, the odds of survival are 1,000 to 1. That's just the way she likes it. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Sometimes on the sly you do it. Maybe even you and I